Good morning from another beautiful day in central Portugal. The weather is getting hotter and I am focusing on my splash pool. But before I show you what I'm working on now, we're going to travel back in time 1 year where I have loads of footage from the work I did then. I intended on putting it all into a video series, and this is that series. So this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, you can check it out up here. Part 2 sort of just jumps right into the work, so it might be a bit confusing. I feel like my filming skills have definitely improved since last year, so it's sort of funny for me to rewatch this old footage. I'm not sure if there will be 2 more videos from back in the past or 1 more, but pretty soon we'll be caught up to present day, and I'm so excited about this project. It's going to be such an awesome space down there by the lemon tree, and I can't wait to have it all finished, and I'm really hopeful that this year will be the year that I'm taking a splash in a little pool. So enough blabbing, let's get straight into the work. And as I said, it really does just get straight into the work. So if you haven't watched part 1, take a look at that. I'm not massively crazy about how much this is cured. The parts that have been wet have really, they're still soft. Same goes for over here. You've got some bits that have sort of been touching water. They're still a bit soft, but this stuff up here is really well cured. So I don't know if this HL5 stuff lime was the right tool for the job, but it's what I had at the time and I had an opportunity to try, so I did. If it doesn't work, I drain the tank again and I put cement down. Obviously this tank needs a lot more attention than just that one hole. I mean, this goes right down into like muck, so it's not ideal. But my plan for fixing it is to work in sections. I'd really like to basin off this part, and then basin off that part, and then deal with this after. So if this holds the water right now enough to pump, to get to a certain level to be able to pump, I will be very happy. And I'm not going to know if that's the case or not until I turn off all the taps and plug this hole up with this very high-tech t-shirt wrapped around a piece of wood sort of thing. So first I'm going to hose out the tank a bit, then I'm going to plug this in there, and I'm going to turn all the taps off, and then I'm going to really hope for the best. Okay, I guess this is a moment of truth time. So I don't know exactly what this may or may not do, but it just seems like an extra added line of defense for the tank not leaking. So in it goes, and now I'm going to go close the taps. And tomorrow I really hope this tank has filled up. At least a little. It's an absolutely, totally, amazingly gorgeous day out. It rained yesterday. And the sky is just so clear. The birds are chirping, the chainsaws are going in the distance. And the sun is shining. I love it. I love living in a place where the rain is so appreciated. It's not, you know, a pain in the neck to look outside and see the rain falling. It's something that brings us all a lot of joy around these parts, and so that's a really nice thing. So I'm about to take you over the lip of the terrace into the water tank area. Fingers crossed the tank is not empty. My repairs were a little bit dubious. I kind of just shoved a bunch of lime and sand and stuff into a hole. So, you know, I'm 51% confident this worked. No, I'm like 76% confident this worked. Let's go take a look over the little lip of the terrace and down into, oh man, wow, that's awesome. That's better than I could have expected. This is more full than I have seen it since I moved in, I think. I don't think I've seen it this high since the very beginning. So the tank is wonderfully full, and now I have to empty it so I can work on it. So I'm going to run the water from the tank into the well down here, and I'm curious about what's happening in the well. There's obviously some holes down there that you can see, and that's the level of the water. So I'm wondering if this could use a repair eventually as well. But a job for another day. A job for another year, actually. Possibly a job for another decade. So I tried to get the water to flow into the hose, but it did not want to. So looks like there's not very much flow here. I believe the pipe, yeah, the pipe's blocked. I don't know what to do about that. That's frustrating. So I'll need to figure that out fairly soon. I forgot that I put the plug in the tank. So this could be very good news. It could be that the pipe is not blocked. It could be just that I left the plug in like a damned fool. So I'm gonna pull that out, and then I'm gonna go try again with the bottom hose, and hopefully it works. Whew, that's cold. Okay, let's try again. Oh, if this doesn't work, I don't even know what to do, but let's hope it works. Ah! It works. Amazing. So I'm just gonna drain my water into the well because I obviously don't need to water my trees because it rained a lot yesterday. With the pump running and the hose emptying down into the well, you can see the water level has fallen quite a bit, quite quickly. I'm really excited about all the design opportunities that come with having water sort of up high. Seeing what I can do with the overflow. Seeing how I can have the water cascade down the land. It's really interesting to me. I feel like I've got some ideas for having kind of water basins or ponds of some kind on each terrace. Maybe a greenhouse in the future that has sort of water flowing through it. It gives me a lot of things to think about, a lot of interesting design opportunities, like I said, and it's probably one of the things that excites me most about this piece of land, the ever-flowing hole of mystery. Just started to rain again, but it's been mostly dry today. I am really surprised at how long it's been taking for the tank to empty. The hose is still going, and the well is almost full, but it's, yeah, a lot slower than I expected. So let's go see how full the well is. The tank is nearly empty, and it looks like the well is filled up quite a bit. The water is flowing very nicely, which is great to see. However, I need to figure out how to build around that flowing water. I did try to come up with some sort of way to steer the water away from the hole using a plastic bottle and a pipe. I don't think that really worked very well. So now my new strategy, which it's sort of a strategy, sort of like a mediocre idea. My new mediocre idea that may or may not work is to concrete this guy into the bottom of the hole so that the water eventually runs through the pipe instead of just down the rock. I don't love the idea of concreting a metal pipe into sort of a nice rock wall, but if you go anywhere around this area, you'll always see these pipes sticking out of water sources. It's just how it's done, and I understand why. It just allows you to have a little bit more control over the flow of the water, or at least the direction that you're going to send it in. Right now I'm just in the early stages still. So stage one, in the first video you saw about my water tank, I basically just repaired a hole. It's worked. There's all kinds of other holes all over the tank, but that was definitely the worst one. One sort of task accomplished, and many more still to come. So what I'll be working on today is laying a few more bricks and trying to get this pipe into place. Yeah, I'm not crazy about this. This was this HL5 lime stuff, and you can see that it's still not 100% set. It's kind of soft. Well, it's not soft, but you can tell that the top part is sort of wants to flake away. So not ideal, but it has done the job, I think. It doesn't leak to the outside the way it did before. So that's a win. This section here, the orange, is one of those push fit things. So the 1-inch pipe will go in that. And then this detaches. Eventually, come on. And then we have all different types of adapters. So basically you buy the size that fits onto the pipe you have, and then it'll go down to whatever size you want to buy. So right now, all I need is the giant metal pipe. I'm going to try to cut this guy into sort of somewhere around there. One part will go in the brick area and one part will go in the water source area. I always get a little nervous when I'm using my angle grinder, and this guy is quite chunky, so it could be a bit of a mission cutting through this. We'll see. I really don't know. But that's one of the first steps. I'm also probably going to grind a little bit more out of the rock to make sort of a rounded basin for the pipe to sit in. That's probably going to be my first job. So I made a mistake. My camera stopped working as I was putting the metal pipe thing in, and so I don't have any footage of it, which is unfortunate because it was kind of hilarious. I was basically just kind of balancing the pipe on some rocks, trying to put some mortar stuff in. It was all washing away out the bottom. In the end, I actually don't really know how I got it to work. I think I just took loads and loads of mortar and stuck it in the water side, and then the water, I guess, pushed it through, but some of it got stuck enough to then send the water through the pipe. This is my theory on the matter. It's still not completely sealed off, but it definitely isn't flowing as quickly underneath the pipe as it was. So I have some faith that I can stick a bit more mortar under there and get it sealed off 100%. That's why I have this giant gap in the no pipe to pipe portion of this video. The camera stopped recording. Wah, wah. Oh well. I should be better at checking. Sometimes it does that. It's very frustrating. Is it recording now? I don't know. It's recording. So this is what I've managed to do. I just want to be able to steer the water into one pipe and to be able to screw stuff on so that I can hook up a hose and have it go where I want it to go. It's mostly coming out of the pipe with a little bit of water trickling underneath. And once the pipe's in more solidly, I'll be able to kind of be a bit more aggressive with my cement tossing and get it underneath and hopefully have it stay. Something interesting over here is, it might be hard to see because of the light, I believe this little corner has water trickling in from somewhere as well. So I wanted to build this up slanting towards where the eventual drain will be. And yeah, I've discovered that there's water pooling on top. So I don't know how to deal with that. If it's water coming in, maybe that means the water won't leak out, so maybe it's not a problem. And now I'm just sort of laying out bricks to try to get an idea of size. I don't feel like the spring basin needs to be that big. I'll probably move that brick in a little bit, make it smaller. And I'm not sure the pool needs to be so big either. So there's a lot of stuff to think about. But in the meantime, I've got my concrete bucket already dirty, so I might as well mix up another batch by hand. And I'm going to toss it in here. This is another pretty big hole. I scraped out a whole bunch of gunk out of it right there. And I'm going to toss a mixture of cement, sand, and gravel in this hole. And then it can sort of cure at the same time as the other stuff. Obviously, there are many other gaping holes to fill in, but these ones will be more difficult because water flows through them. So first I want to be able to get the pipe in place, which will allow me to control the water better. Okay, that'll do. Normally I wouldn't be so willy-nilly with the mixing. I would have measured a little bit better. But this is just going in a hole to kind of temporarily fill it. The whole tank will be repaired over top of that. It's been a busy day today, so I'm pretty tired. I think it's probably about 5 or 6 o'clock now. So I'll chuck this batch of concrete in the hole that I just made, and then I'll call it a day, I think. Today's actually been quite exhausting, and I'm looking forward to getting out of this water tank. My feet are wet, and it's getting a little chilly, so I'm gonna chuck this concrete in the hole, and then I'm gonna call it a day. I feel fairly confident that for what I need this to do, it'll do the trick. Fill the hole, keep all the muddy stuff contained underneath there, and create a base that I can then build on top of when I do the actual bottom of the tank. So yeah, so it's, you know, anyone that knows what they're doing with concrete probably is watching this and is quite horrified at my technique. But, you know, it'll do the job, I think. And if it doesn't, I'll figure it out later on. As long as the concrete I made stays in the hole, keeps the mud in, makes a sort of flattish surface for me to build onto, I'll be happy. If it doesn't cure, I don't know. I'll dig it out and redo it another time. That's the only thing I can think of going wrong in this. But yeah, sometimes you just have to get on with things, and maybe I don't know the exact proper way or the proper mix to do it. I probably could have looked it up, to be fair, but I think based on some previous experience with concrete, I think the mix is okay, and I think it should do the job. So I'm happy. Well, actually, let's see tomorrow what it looks like, and then I'll tell you if I'm happy or not. I'm back in the water tank. I've got my boots on this time. Behold the boots. I'm gonna lay some bricks on this back wall. I'm gonna clean off some rocks so that I can point them. I'm going to connect the bendy pipe, the push fit pipe thing, to the metal pipe that I installed into the wall yesterday. Provided it's not wiggling around, hopefully it's nice and solid and secure. But first I'm going to make a cement mortar. It's 3 parts river sand or sharp sand, coarse sand. 3 parts coarse sand and 1 part cement. And I'll mix that up now, have it ready for when I go, and do some bricklaying today, I guess. So rather than carrying a big bucket of mortar down into the water tank, I'm just going to carry small buckets of sand and cement down, and then I'll mix it up down here. And then I'm going to lay bricks just right here. I'll first claw out behind here and try to clean it up as best I can. I'm definitely going to go up to around here, which means I want to claw the dirt and stuff out from behind the rocks that will be behind the bricks. That will eventually be filled with lime and rocks and sort of packed up just to make it a bit stronger. But I don't want all of that mud and stuff in there when I do that, and it'll be easier to clean if I do it before I lay the bricks. So that is my plan. I'm also going to investigate the metal pipe that I put in yesterday. I'm hoping it's not too wiggly, and that I can screw on a push fit pipe fitting thing and then attach a long pipe, and that'll just take the water away from where I'm working, and that'll let me see a little bit more clearly what I'm working with. And it'll also mean that I won't have to wear my boots, because my feet got super wet yesterday, which is quite uncomfortable, but it's hot, so I also don't want to wear my boots. So it's a dilemma. But if I can send the water away down there, I can wear my shoes again, and everyone will be happy, especially my feet. This is a bit of a moment of truth. Let's see how this sets. Is it hard? Is it not? Yeah, it looks pretty good for, I don't know, a little over 12 hours. Definitely less than 24 hours. It's quite a bit less, yeah, it's still a bit soft on the top, but I think it'll be fine. It feels pretty solid. And then over here we have my little fountain thing that I made, which I'm quite pleased with. But let's see. I'm going to touch it, I'm going to poke it, I'm going to prod it, and I hope it's feeling solid and not wiggly. Yeah, that's pretty solid. You can tell it's not completely set, but it's definitely, yeah, that's awesome. Cool, so I'm gonna screw in the push fit stuff, and I'm gonna attach a pipe and send the water over here, and at least over in that direction. I don't have a pipe long enough right now to go all the way to this hole, but as long as I send it to this half of the tank, I think that'll give me some space to work. I just want all these little bits, mud and stuff like that, gone. The lime, when I put it in, it won't really grip on the way it should if I have all these loose bits, and you're not supposed to have organic matter, and it's probably not good that it's growing out of the wall anyway. So I'm gonna work at that. But yeah, some of it's really embedded in here, like this is behind some concrete, so yeah, it could be a bit of work actually getting this done. But you gotta go, little plants. Sorry. So you can see the original tank strategy was just to sort of dump a bunch of concrete in between the rocks. In a few places, it wasn't very thorough. And so I will just attempt to be more thorough. And instead of concrete, I'll use lime, which is a bit friendlier to the rocks. All right, it's not perfect, but I'm hoping a few blasts from the hose will clean that right up and give me a nice spot to start working from. Most people for this would probably use a pressure washer, but this is working surprisingly well considering my tank is just right there, probably maximum 2 meters higher than the hose, so it's coming out with quite the force. It could be stronger and it could blast out more, but for what I need it for, I think it's perfect. So now you can see it's a little less muddy and a little more wet and clean looking. So I'm going to mix up a batch of lime before I do the concrete, and I'm going to get it in all those holes, and then I'll lay some bricks after that. Just been on lunch. I was waiting for my camera to charge, and so I did not capture this work here. One day I'll find the right balance for timing of camera charging, but you can see what I've done. I basically just sort of shoved the lime into the gaps that are like way up under there, so that once I lay the bricks, I can easily get more lime behind them without having to worry about kind of going into nooks and crannies and stuff. And I've only gone up sort of the level of one brick for now, because after that height, I'd like to point it and have these look a little nicer than just kind of shoving the stuff in, but down there it doesn't matter so much. So I've got a little bit more lime to use up. This lime is different from the other stuff. So the lime I'm using now is called HL5, and I don't really know exactly what it is. It's not NHL lime, and it's not lime putty. It's something else, and I think it has a bit of a cement content to it. And that means that, so unlike the lime putty, which can pretty much sit indefinitely if you keep it kind of hydrated, this stuff will go off quite quickly. It feels like it's more like cement than lime. I don't know much about it. I've done sort of an online course that was really good, and it clarified things that I've since forgotten. So what can you do? Anyway, I'm putting this HL5 stuff down here because it's what I have, and then when it comes to the pointing, I'll try to figure out what the best thing for me to use is at that point. So this mix is 3 parts coarse sand, 1 part HL5 lime. It's not too wet because I want to be able to push it into the nether regions of the wall. The lime putty is much nicer to work with than this stuff. It's just a lot more sticky and it grips on better. I'm not crazy about this stuff, but it'll do the job. My methods are unorthodox when it comes to pointing and plastering. I know there's got to be some like best practices and things, but I don't know, I just got so many other things on my plate that I haven't actually looked into what the best way to do those things are. But one day I will try to find out the best way to do it and practice. However, the best way to do something might just be the way that works for you. So you can see it's kind of slumping down a bit, and that's because I really tried to ram a whole bunch of stuff in there. Probably too much, and so it wants to escape back out. Or I'm not pushing it in well enough. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to leave it for now. I can finish this up later, let it dry. And the rest of the lime, I'll just dump it in to this brick here. I feel like doing the bricks this way up was not the way to do it. It's a massive amount of material that goes in there. And the research I did online, very briefly, when people are laying these types of bricks, they actually usually just put the mortar around the edge. So I don't really know. I couldn't find advice for these exact types of bricks that have the bottom sealed and the top open. But it's way too much material, and I'm nearly out of sand and cement, so I'm gonna do it the other way around. I've hooked up with a push fit thing. And you can see there's a little bit of water action happening underneath. But most of it is coming out of this pipe and popping out down here, which is exactly what I was hoping would happen. So that's really cool. Eventually I'll get a longer pipe and stick it all the way over here, straight into that hole. So in theory, water won't be on the bottom of this tank, it'll just go straight out of the tank. That will require me also fixing this little bit underneath, which might be tricky because obviously the water will want to push the concrete out. So I'll need to come up with a plan for that. But right now it's fine. I feel like it's gonna work. And it means that this part of the tank should, in theory, dry up and just make it easier to walk around and to work. So I'm going to continue laying the bricks. This one in the middle should be pretty simple. The one on the end will require a little bit of angle grinding, a little bit of finagling to get it into place, just because of how the rocks jut out. So I'm going to put that one down for now. Concrete sets way more quickly than lime does, and I'm quite used to working with lime, so I left this little bit of concrete in this bucket and went up to take a call from my accountant. It's tax time in Portugal. Fun, fun. So I went up to do that call. It took maybe 20 minutes, and when I came back down, this was kind of fused into a sort of solid mass, which was surprising. I wasn't gone that long. So anyway, I added a bit of water, and it looks like it's fine, but it's just a reminder that lime is quite forgiving, especially lime putty, and you can leave it for ages and it's not going to go off, whereas concrete, not so much. Lesson learned, don't take a 20-minute phone call and leave your concrete in a bucket in the sun. I'm not totally sure what to do with this one. That's a little too narrow for the brick. So do I cut the brick or do I cut the stone? I feel like I might cut the brick. Maybe I'll cut the brick and the stone. If I cut the stone out here, that should be enough to sneak it in, and then for this corner, cut a bit of the brick off. I don't really know. I want to get a marker. Well, I can't find my marker, so I'm gonna just mark it with this trusty pencil, and hopefully that's okay. I think I just need to take a little teeny bit off the front of the rock, and rather than cutting into the corner there, which could be quite weird, or maybe it won't be weird. I don't know. I might try to cut off the rocks first and see where that leaves me, and then if that doesn't work, I'll take a little bit off the brick itself. Let's see how it goes. So I'm quite happy with that. It is sticking out a little bit there, but nothing a bit of render can't fix, I don't think. And I've got these stones sort of propping it up that I'll, I guess, knock off later, but that one's the most level of them all. Let's abruptly end the video there. As I said, my filming skills have changed quite a bit since a year ago, and I'm hoping that I have a bit more flow now than I used to. So that was part 2 of my water tank video series. Part 3 will be out soon. I'm editing all the footage now. There's so much footage. I think my old strategy for filming was just film every stupid little thing, talk about every stupid little thing, And now, of course, I have to sift through all of those little things. So I'm working on part 3, and hopefully it'll be out soon. So that's it from this video. If you have any questions, comments, tips, advice, whatever, I love hearing from people. Please leave me a comment. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.